Ladies and gentlemen, people of all gender expressions, thank you for checking out the North Bank Media Podcast. I'm your host, Patrick Strevens. Joining me on the show this afternoon was Brad Bartko. Among many things, he is a financial educator, financial broker. He's a motivational speaker, and he's a disability advocate. Brad was born premature. He's afflicted with cerebral palsy. He is confined to a wheelchair, but you really wouldn't know it to talk to him. That sort of thing doesn't define him, and he's really the ultimate guest for this show. Someone who, through their shortcomings, through their disabilities, through their failings, if you will, has found freedom and has found empowerment. And as he said, my disability is my ability, and it's that kind of perspective shift that really is what keeps the show going. So, really, I can't preface it any more than that, but to say an incredible guy, an inspirational guy. Someone who believes in uplifting as many people as possible, however he may do it. And he does it in a couple different ways. So we're going to link in the show notes to where to find him on social media and his website and all that stuff that he does. But please enjoy this conversation with Brad Bartko. You're in showbiz, aren't you?
That's right. That's right.
Alrighty.
That's right.
Beautiful. Okay. Well, Brad Bartko, welcome to the North Bank Media Podcast, and thank you for your time, and it's great to be with you.
Hey, thanks so much, Pat, for having me, man. It's like I said off air. It's truly an honor to be able to be here and share a message, share a story, and just kind of let the world into my brain. I'm excited, and I appreciate you giving me the opportunity and the time.
Hey, well, I'm happy to do it, and I love having guests like you who've obviously got a story to share and who've persevered through all kinds of odds stacked against them, as it were. I guess before we really roll, shouts out to Jen Rep for making this connection. Thank you, Jen. How do you know Jen?
Actually, Jen was connected through me on Instagram. She's in the film business, and I'm looking for an independent filmmaker to redo my documentary. I kind of got screwed over with that experience. So we were looking for other people to do it, and Jen was referred to me, and then I reached out. I was looking, I'm in the midst of disability awareness and accessibility in the city of Edmonton, and somebody said, you need to reach out to people with podcasts and obviously the media and all this stuff. And I posted on Instagram, who's got a podcast that you think I'd be a good fit on, and you were the number one that came up, and Jen referred you. So here we are.
Oh, right on. Well, I love to hear that. I'm slowly getting a little bit of word of mouth, slowly getting some traction. So I couldn't be more pleased that it's doing what it's supposed to be doing.
I feel the word of mouth thing. I feel it. I run my business that way too. And it's, if we can help each other, scratch each other's backs, I'm here for it, man.
100%. Well, let's go there. I listened to your interview, or most of it, with the other podcast. What was that name of that show? Living Without?
Yeah, my life without limits.
My life without limits. Yeah. That's very cool. Kind of a niche podcast for people with disabilities. Maybe take us first. Give us just a quick, or as quick as you want to be, about your condition and what it is that you're living with, and then roll us into this documentary, because this is it's happening now, and it kind of didn't go the way you had hoped, I guess.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into that for sure. I guess I'll back you up.
Sure.
All the way to 1993.
Okay.
My mom was 16 years old. She was getting ready for a party and getting ready to go out with some friends, and she felt some abdominal pain. They thought it was an appendix. They weren't sure. They rushed her to the hospital, so they treated her for an appendix. Upon some further tests, she found out she was pregnant, and she was pregnant with me. And the doctors are like, "You got to get this baby out now. Like, this is an emergency. Like, now, now." And out came me a few minutes later. And Pat, I explained this story for those listening and can't watch, or
Sure.
those watching and not listening. I'm holding up my palm, so I get people to hold up their palm for me.
Hmm.
And typically, my head was at the tip of your middle finger, and my feet were at the bottom of your palm. That's how
Unbelievable.
small I was just shy of a couple pounds. I was very premature. We're talking months
Yeah.
premature. And right away, you talk about stacked against me, odds stacked against me. Doctors took me away from my parents, put me in an incubator, hooked me up to a bunch of tubes
Hmm.
to really find out what was going on. And doctors came back to my parents. Again, my mom's 16. My dad is 18 years old, and they said, "You have 24 hours. We're giving him no longer than 24 hours to live." And I always tell the story is I heard that, and that's where the warrior mentality, that's where the fighting spirit began. My parents never gave up on me. My mom's like, no, he's gonna make it. We're gonna do this thing, and the rest is it. I spent 70, just over 70 days in the hospital.
Okay.
One fully developed lung, fully hooked up to an incubator and tubes and all this stuff, and I finally got to go home. And it wasn't until I was about 2 years old that they officially diagnosed me with a condition or a disability called cerebral palsy. So I have mild CP,
Hmm.
severe spasticity. So what that means is I'm very coherent, as you can tell, very
Sure.
outspoken. I'm a normal human being. The only difference between me and Pat is I got four wheels strapped to my ass, and that's about it. But really, how it started is I was born in I'm not a female, so I'm not going to get into all of it, but I was born into a dry sac.
Mm.
So there was no liquid, no fluid. And basically, I came out pretty much dead,
Wow.
with no oxygen. I wasn't breathing on my own, et cetera, et cetera. So diagnosis CP, and right away, again, limitations stacked against me.
Yeah.
Doctors told me if I wasn't sitting up by the age of 2, if I wasn't doing this, if I wasn't doing this, I'd never walk on my own. I'd never talk on my own. I'd never be a contributing member to
Right.
society. Well, as you can tell now, I look pretty good for 28 years dead, and that's the running joke. The running joke around here when I speak and jump on a podcast. 28 years dead, 20 plus operations. I've had minor operations from Botox to loosen the muscles in my legs
Hmm.
and in my body, from major operations to my jaw busted and brought forward, to both my legs reconstructed and full of metal, which I'll get into that a bit later because that is a huge part of my story and my life
Hmm.
is that surgery and what it did for me. But you know what? I've always lived life like every day is
Hmm.
going to be my last. Pat, this let's be honest, this could be the last conversation, the last story I ever share
Could be.
is is with Pat, and that's how I live. Every moment is precious. Every interaction is, to me, is life changing. I don't take life for granted. And they also found out, I'm going to back up a little bit. They also found a cyst on my brain when I was born. So it's blocking the motor skills, to basically tell your body how to walk and balance
Sure.
and all the normal. I use that lightly. Normal people, uh, they used to walk or whatever.
Hmm.
So that was actually bleeding when I was born as well, and they stopped it. It hasn't bled since in 28 years. Knock on wood. Because that is I tell people and I use it rightly, but that is a volcano that when that thing erupts, or if it erupts, if it ever does, they don't think it will, but if it ever does, I mean, I will never know about it because I'd be long gone.
Okay.
So it's just on a very sensitive part of the brain they can't remove. So they monitor it. They haven't. They're not too worried about it. They haven't monitored it since
Hmm.
I was a kid. So nothing, no issues there. None of that crazy
Hmm.
stuff. But like I said, if it does go off, this is it. So again, it's I live every day like it's my last, man,
Yeah.
and for me, I live by a saying. It's not about me. It's about we.
Mm.
Because we can come together and we
Sure.
can make a difference, whether that's in life, in business, with disabilities, whatever the case may be. I mean, life will be better. And for me, I always treat life is also a win-win situation.
Mhm.
I don't need to step on people to get ahead to win. If I can pull you up with me,
Mm.
it's a win-win for everybody. I win, you win, we all win, right? So, and I think that's the way more people need to look at life. I mean, at 28 years old, I've always been told I have an old soul. I think
Mm.
differently. I have a different perspective on life. But Pat, I think that comes back to my story, and that comes back to
Mhm.
when I was born, how I was born, just a different outlook, and really, in a lack of better terms, staring death in the face, right? And I wasn't ready to go there yet. And I talked about this with Global Edmonton yesterday. I did an
Mm.
interview,
Nice.
and this is, you know, I'm here for a reason.
Hmm.
God said, hey, whether you want to believe in a higher power, you don't believe in something, whatever the case may be, God said, hey, that's not the time. You got a bigger statement to make here, a bigger impact to make here. So I just live every day like it's my last, and I live every day to try and leave education,
Hmm.
try and leave value, try and leave awareness on people. And if I can do that, then the rest is history, man.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I talk a bit about that kind of thing on this show about life being fragile and our time being limited. But I mean, you're really living it, right? Like you say, it could all end. I mean, it could all end for anyone, but you really that's part of your identity, right? Is this fact that it
For
is
sure.
borrowed time in a sense.
For sure. Yeah.
So what is that? Where does what then? What takes precedence in your life? Like where do you find meaning then? Knowing that you're lucky essentially.
Where do I find meaning? That's a deep one. But where my purpose is, Pat, is life is bigger than just me.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
I I need to make a bigger impact in this world than just so many people go about life and they just I hate to be frank, but honest,
Please do.
you know, um, a lot of people are selfish.
Mm.
Like they just go about their own life and they're worried about me. It's all about me, 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 me,
Mm-hmm.
me. Well, again, it comes back to it's not about me, it's about we. Because if we
Mm-hmm.
can pick each other up, if we can come back, if we can rebound, if we can band together, life will be so much better. So, where I find purpose, I thought very early on, I want to be a sports broadcaster. I want to be the
Oh,
first
nice.
guy in a wheelchair, to do that. So, I went through life doing that. I went through college. I got a radio and TV degree, all that stuff.
Okay.
But I also realized again, at 21 years old, I realized life was bigger than just me. And I think it starts, I think at 12 or 13, I remember, and if I may tell you a story,
Please.
I was on the school bus at 12 or 13 years old, and I was on a accessible bus. So there was me and two other people with in wheelchairs on this bus. And one had the same disability I had, so cerebral palsy, CP, but very severe.
Mm.
She was tube fed, nonverbal,
Oof.
24/7 care, 7 days a week. She had seizures multiple times a day, all this stuff. And then the other girl had spina bifida, which is you cannot feel typically, not in all cases, but you cannot feel from the waist down.
Mm.
So typically, again, that involves some care and all that stuff. But I looked around and I noticed they were depressed. I noticed the demeanor. They weren't carrying themselves as proud as they should be. I
Mm.
live with a disability. I'm proud to have a disability. This is me. This is part of me. Would I change anything? No. Because if I was any different, I probably wouldn't be the person I am today. Right. So this is me. I
Mm-hmm.
embrace who I am. I love who I am. And they were there wasn't a smile. Every single day was like Groundhog Day. It was the same old thing every single day. And I remember having music in because that was my way of going to school and just getting my zone. And people always ask me, what do I listen to? Well, it was 90s hip hop. So
Nice.
Tupac, Biggie, all those guys. So I'm in my ear, but I'm also thinking, I'm sitting there. I said, and somebody brought it up the one day I got off the bus. He goes, you're outspoken. You're this guy that really doesn't give a shit. Like
Sure.
you're just you go out there and you live your life. You're this role model. He
Right.
goes, you're the voice for the voiceless.
Mm.
You're the voice for the people that can't speak, the people that won't speak, the people that are afraid. All this stuff. The people that have already been put in their quote unquote box.
Mm-hmm.
So again, that's where it comes back to. It's not about me. It's about we. And at that point, I realized, going to radio and TV school, that would have been all about me. That would have been me. I would have, maybe got to the NHL, maybe not. Living out of a suitcase, living with a disability. I also realized that it wasn't feasible. I needed to be closer to family. I needed to be closer to friends in case something did happen. I can't just jump around and live out of a suitcase. It wasn't possible.
Right.
So I shortly realized that all of a sudden it became a hobby instead of a dream. So at 21 years old, what does everyone do? They get involved in finance, right? Crazy, I know.
Yeah, right.
So I went and I got licensed through the Alberta government. I did all that stuff, and I started my own brokerage at 21 years old. I started my own firm, all this stuff, and that was my purpose. It hit me right away almost that there is a need here. There is an education and an awareness factor here that it's not about selling, because selling gets you only to a certain point.
For sure.
In life. But again, I didn't care if it paid me $5, if it paid me 1,000, if it paid me zero. If I can leave somebody with something every single day, then I was fulfilled. I knew I could go home and I can get up in the morning and knew I was serving a bigger purpose than just me. So starting my own business, I've been doing that now 7, almost 8 years. It's been incredible. It's been unbelievable. One of my biggest supporters and biggest helps are my parents. They actually suddenly became my client. They go, you need to help me in a better way, because they felt, as their other guy was just selling to make money,
sure,
that they wanted to be more educated. They wanted a better understanding. And what also took me to recently is this city. I don't know if you've noticed, because a lot of my normal friends don't really notice until you tell them. Again, it comes back to educating, awareness, and creating change. So for me, this city's not as wheelchair accessible or as friendly as it should be or as it needs to be.
Okay.
So that's been my new journey now is, I've been sharing stories and doing all that and just creating awareness on that level and being that person, setting an example and setting a good example,
right.
Not being that guy that your son or your daughter or whoever it may be, when I'm long gone, they can look at, they'll maybe remember my name and be like, you remember that Brad Bartko guy? He set an example. He believed in this. He had great morals. He had a big heart, all this stuff. I want to be like him. And all of a sudden, they take my vision that maybe I never got to achieve, never got to accomplish, and they take that and they run with it. And next thing you know, you got an army behind you, and you got people that are carrying on your generation and your vision for generations after I'm completely long gone.
Right. Well, that's beautiful. It's interesting because, the ideals that you live by and everything you're talking about it's about a collective, right? You want to lead people, you want to uplift your city, your community, but so much of that still, it comes from within you, right? Like you generate, I'm blown away by your drive, your motivation. And I don't mean this in a negative way, but your ego, this feeling inside you that you can do it.
Thank you.
Do you have some sense? You're welcome. Do you have a sense of because here's the question is, do you see in other people in your position, other people with disabilities, being less likely to really believe in themselves or to have that?
Sure.
So why, I guess I'm curious why, maybe it's personality, maybe it's not affected at all by your condition, but why do you wake up every day and say, I know I can actually do this?
Well, you talked about it. It's within me.
Right.
And I got to thank my parents also for that, for believing in me and never giving up on me, and never quitting. But also, Pat, I'm going to be brutally honest. There's about, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus here, but I'm going to be real and I'm going to be raw. And about 90% of people with disabilities, you talk to them and they feel scared to share their story. They feel scared to speak out. And I'll tell you why. It all comes back, whether you love them or you hate them, it comes back to the government of Alberta. And here's why. We'll dig deeper into that.
Sure.
Here's
Please.
why. When you turn 18 years old and you have a permanent disability, The government wants to give you $1,600 a month. So what does that work out to? 20, 29 grand a year, whatever it may be,
Sure.
in that range. And a lot of people take it. The government says, be quiet. This is what you're worth. Just live your life. Just do your thing. They put you in this box, and they almost feel suppressed. And then that's where the afraidness comes from. Well, I'm afraid to speak up because I'm going to lose my funding. Well, I'm afraid to speak up because I'm going to lose this benefit.
Huh.
Well, I'm afraid to speak up because I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. For me, look, when they gave me that money at 18, Pat, I knew I was worth more. I knew I wanted more. I knew I wanted to be more. And for me, I'll let you in my head and a little bit of secret. And
Sure.
I guess the world's gonna know. But my goal, Pat, in life, what drives me right now, I want to make $1 million a year. And people go, "Whoa, Brad, like you're crazy, you're nuts, you're out of your mind." And this is not to say, Pat, I want you to look at my cars, look at my house, look at the trips I go on, all this stuff. That's a byproduct of doing what I do. I think I deserve some of that as I continue on this journey. Some of that,
Absolutely.
I worked hard. But for me, here's the vision. I want to create an entire disability community, from the ground up, housing with ramps, elevators, nurses on staff, and tailored to whoever and
Right.
whatever, tailored to them, whatever they need. And I want to completely fund it. I want to completely pay for it and give back to my community, give back to my people, and obviously give back to my parents in the meantime and all this other stuff as well. But basically say, fuck the government. And I'm gonna be your government. I'm gonna be your funding.
Nice.
I'm gonna be the guy because I've stepped out of that comfort zone. I've stepped out of that box, and I'm willing to grab life by the horns. We talk about, man. Life's too short to sit around. Life's too short to. You know what they expect when I got married at 21 years old. It was 2023. I guess I got married. So when the government phoned me and said you can't get married. What do you mean? Why? I'm a normal human. What do you mean I can't get married? So they decided to phone my wife and give my wife a survey. And this is a real survey, real questions from the government.
Right.
They asked my wife, does Brad make you want to drink more? Does Brad make you more depressed? Does Brad make you want to do hard drugs? Does Brad make you want to try and kill yourself? All this stuff. And to me, it's mind blowing. It's crazy.
It is.
For me, I thought, and I sat there. It got me angry. And they said, if you get married, we're going to cut his funding off completely. So $1,600 a month at that time, gone. And we expect you to quit your job and take care of him for the rest of your life. That is the plan. That is what we expect. And I sat there and I thought, there is thousands of other people in this position that maybe don't have a choice.
Sure.
That maybe can't. That maybe say, you know what, I can't get married because if I lose this, what am I going to do?
Got nothing.
Right. So I said. So again, I looked at the bigger picture. I said, screw that. I'm going to be your guy. I'm going to be your person. So that's what drives me and drives me every single day. I want to help my people. I want a seat at the table, Pat. That's the biggest. I want a seat at the table. I want people with disabilities to be treated normal. I want people with this is the largest minority in the world, Pat, is people with disabilities. I'm going to throw a stat at you. 44% of people with disabilities live below the poverty line. For me, that's not right. That is wrong on every single level. You're telling me you're going to punish me because I was born a certain way. First off, I'm born in Edmonton. I'm a Canadian citizen. All this stuff. I'm born a certain way. I didn't ask to be put this way. I was born this way. Right. And you're going to punish me because I was born this way, because I can't just go and get a quote unquote normal job. I can't go up to Fort Mac and just go pick up a shovel and make oil. It's not possible. It's not physically possible for me and a lot of us. So you got to find it. We do it a different way. And there's a lot of people that can't and are afraid. So again, I got to be that guy to step up, set that example, pave that road, and be that person for my community. And most importantly, not just my community, not with people with disabilities, but I want to be an example for just everybody in general. Normal people, people with invisible disability, whatever the case may be. I want to be that guy that they look and they say, you know what? If he can do it, why the hell can't I? And if I can do it, why can't he?
Hmm.
And all this stuff, and just lead by example. And that's the way I live life, man.
It's beautiful. It's interesting you say they essentially pay you to keep you quiet. Not really, but that's how it functions. And it's like they pay you, and they tell you you're disabled. Here's your money, take it. It occurs to me that maybe you don't even necessarily see yourself as being disabled. Like, is that fair to say?
I'm my disability is my ability, Pat.
Right.
It's my superpower.
Well, it
I don't
is.
wear a cape. I don't wear a cape, but sometimes I feel like I wear a cape. If that makes sense, and it's if somebody wants to label me and oh, you're disabled, you're blah blah blah. Look, you look around the room, you look at everybody, whether we want to admit it or not, everybody has a form of disability.
Hmm.
Nobody's ever perfect. Let's
Hmm.
get that out of the way. Although sometimes we think we are, nobody's ever perfect. And so there is some flaws in everybody. So for me, I don't choose. Again, I'll come back to that. The only difference between me and you is I got four wheels strapped to my ass, and that's about it. Yeah, I can dance. I can dance with the best of them. I can go to hockey games. I can do that thing, right? Like I live a normal life. The
Right.
only difference is I gotta line up my chair next to my bed to make sure I can get in and out of my bed in the morning, right?
Hmm.
Like it takes me a little bit longer to do a normal routine. But hey, that's life, man. It is what it is. And I get used to it. We get used to it, and you just carry on. I mean,
Right.
um, but my disability is not my disability. This is my ability, and this is my message to the world that hey, it doesn't matter if you're missing a leg, if you got four wheels, whatever the case may be,
Hmm.
you can go and do it. The only thing is stopping you is this thing between your ears.
Yes, sir.
It's it. That is it.
Because in some sense we're all disabled. Of course, I don't mean to compare my problems to yours or anything like that. That's not the point. But it seems like you were confronted with yours so blatantly and from day one that you had to
Yeah.
address it and you had to find a way to live through it. Whereas some people never really take the time to address their whatever is disabling them. And maybe in some senses you're freer than someone who may be considered able-bodied.
Yeah, I would agree. I without getting too egotistical. Yeah, I would agree with that for sure. Because you look around and I mean people want to all the time. You look at social media. I'll take social media for example.
Sure.
People want to air their dirty laundry on social. Oh, I'm broke or I'm this or I'm that or this happened to me or when. Hey, I get everybody goes through problems. Everybody goes through issues,
Right.
right? I remember telling somebody one time. This was years ago. That why don't we trade? You walk in my shoes or wheel in my shoes.
Sure.
Give me your problems for a day and come back to me after 24 hours and let me know if your problems are still problems.
How they respond to that.
Right? The point we're at now is, and this is my next kind of event I want to do, hopefully in the next couple months, is I want to take able-bodied people and put them in wheelchairs for 24 hours and see how they react. And let them live in my shoes. Let them live in our shoes
Mhm.
and come back and tell me, you know what? Yeah, changes do need to be made, and we
Right.
go from there.
So talk to me a bit about that. I've been lucky to talk to a couple guys who are running for city council this fall. I talked to Cheryl Watson, who's running for mayor, and they all talk a big game about. Well, I don't mean that derisively. Politicians talk big. That's what they do.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
they talk about making a city that works for everybody. At least
yeah.
Watson did, and she had a lot of great ideas, including a basic needs plan for where everybody gets the basic needs met. But from your point of view, what's lacking here as far as accessibility in this town?
Oh man, where do I begin?
What do you hate
Look,
the most? Like what's the big problem?
uh,
What's the issue
it,
fundamentally?
for me, it's accessible bathrooms
Mm,
in establishments. A lot of them aren't up to code. A lot of them are slapped together.
mm,
I remember. I'm not going to name names. I remember being in a bar a couple years ago and paying my bill and asking the waitress where a bathroom is,
Mm-hmm.
like an accessible bathroom.
Sure.
I completely asked her, and she goes, "Well, the only bathroom we have is down 9 flights, nine stairs." And I looked at her, kind of smiling, and
Right.
giggled exactly what you did. And I said, "Well, how about I just throw myself down the stairs, and you can come pick me up and take me to the bathroom? Like it's not going to work."
Right.
So she goes, "Oh my God, I'm sorry. Let me grab Amanda." So Amanda grabs me. Here's the other thing. When's the last time you had to ask a grown adult to go to the bathroom?
Yeah. Never
Never,
really. Well,
right?
in 20 years
So
at least.
welcome to my life. I need to ask a grown adult where a handicapped bathroom is to use the bathroom, which
Right.
which to me is mind-boggling anyway. It is the 21st century. But besides that, so he grabs this key. The manager says, "Follow me." He grabs this key. He leads me through an active kitchen. Okay, I feel belittled at this point because I'm stepping over chefs and waitresses and food, and like it's not ideal. Then he leads me down this dark hallway where he literally needs a flashlight to guide himself down this hallway because it's that dark, it's never been used.
Right.
And he goes to this room, Pat, and he opens the door with the key. And I kid you not, from floor to ceiling, it is full. It is full with extra chairs, extra tables, wet floor signs, mops, everything you can think of. It's a storage
It's a
closet.
storage closet. Yeah.
And at the very back, Pat, there's a toilet. The very back.
Yeah.
So I looked at him, a couple things. I looked at him, I said, "How do you want me to get in there?" And on the toilet, there was no grab bar. So code, there
Sure.
needs to there needs to be at least a bar on or next to the toilet for me to grab on and transfer safely so I don't fall out of my chair and hurt myself, all that stuff.
Right.
So there was nothing there. So I said, "Two, how do you want me to safely get on and off the toilet?" He looked at me, okay? He looked at me, dead in my eye, and he
Right.
goes, "It's not my problem. We don't get many of you people in my establishment."
Whoa. That sucks.
And I walked out of the room and said, "Have a nice day. I'm never coming back here again." And I never did. And then you look at the curbs. So the curb cutouts, the low side of the curbs.
Mm-hmm.
In the wintertime, the city likes to pile up the snow on those curb sides. Well, how do you want me to get down safely? Now I use another example. If you cannot relate to me, let me use your elderly mother, your elderly father, your grandpa, your grandma, whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
What happens if they slipped and fell? They needed to get there and they broke a hip. Now what?
Someone's
Right?
getting sued. That's what.
Exactly. Exactly. So stuff like that, handicap buttons on doors
Mm-hmm.
that don't work. 95% of the city doesn't work. Their buttons don't work. You hit them, they don't work. So how do you want me to open the door if I'm by myself? Stuff like that. But I love everybody, and I'm gonna use this example, Frank. But let's use the LGBTQ community,
Sure.
the Indigenous people, and the Black Lives Matter. What do they all have in common? Something bad happened to them before change was made. You look at the Indigenous people with the schools and the grades and all this stuff. The Black Lives Matter. George Floyd died. Something happened. Something changed. You look at the LGBTQ community. Something raises enough wage. Something happens with them.
Mm-hmm.
Change happens.
Right.
Well, where's our turn? Where's our day? Where's our march? Where's our all this stuff? And I look and I shudder to think it's my job to feel that I put my community on my back in a sense, and feel that I don't want something to happen to me or somebody in my community that heaven forbid someone gets seriously hurt or dies,
Mm-hmm.
and then all of a sudden changes are made. So let's be proactive here. Let's do something now before something bad actually happens. And I always tell people with this story, there's a documentary on Netflix called Crip Camp, CRIP Camp. It's about a disability bylaw in the states.
Okay.
It's very relevant to here in Canada, and I feel we're stuck. This took place in the 70s, and we're very much stuck in that realm.
Hmm.
Canadians take pride on being better than the states and being, they want to one up, or they want to be equal, all this stuff. If we look at things, and I'm not going to, but just a comparison here.
Sure.
I feel the U.S. is about 30 years, 33 decades, 30 years ahead of Canada
Hmm.
when it comes to accessibility. We got a lot of work to do. We got a lot, and it all comes down, Pat, to awareness to create change. So if people aren't aware, people like you aren't aware until today.
Hmm.
Well, we got to make you aware to bring change, and you got to tell your friends, and and collectively we make a difference and we make change.
Absolutely. And I think that's it. I think if you're relying on the government to make those changes, it's just not ever going to happen. Like society structures itself in a way where the people with power need, I'm not getting crazy Marxist here, but they end up building a society that benefits the majority, period. That's just how the culture and society works. So when I hear
Uh-huh.
you talking about you want to have your community that you build and that's it's an accessible community, it's going to benefit the people that need it. I think that is probably what's needed is private enterprise to step up and make those lead the
Well,
way.
you're looking at him, Pat.
Yeah.
You're looking at him, and to be and look when it comes to that as well is I mean we talk about me winning and you winning. In order for me to get there, my clients got to win.
Right.
My clients got to make money. My
Sure.
clients, people got to refer me. People got to come to me. So there's a lot of groundwork to be done there. But if my clients win, I win, and then all of a sudden, then the community, then the world, then the city wins, and we talk about it. Then it's a win-win-win situation. Nobody loses. Why should somebody have to lose for somebody to gain? I mean, that's the mentality of a lot of people, but that's not the mentality for me. It needs to be a win-win-win, and
Hmm.
otherwise it doesn't work. Otherwise, it's not going to work. It needs to be a puzzle. And
Right.
I'm sorry, I wasn't ignorant, Pat, but I forgot to mention you brought up the documentary.
Oh
So
yeah. Sure.
if I could real quick, so I got approached by a company called AMI, which they deal with people with disabilities. They're
Okay.
located in Edmonton.
Okay.
They cater to the deaf community, and they put the subtitles on their TV shows. They have a channel, all that stuff. So
Okay.
they approached me. They saw my story online, similar to you before today, and they said we want to do a documentary on your life. And I turned around. I said, I don't want to do a documentary on my life. Let's sprinkle my life in there,
Hmm.
but let's do a documentary on our community. On how it needs to change, on giving the spotlight to people with disabilities. Letting them be the face, letting them be the forefront of a news article or whatever. Because so often we get so far left behind
Hmm.
that that's not the case. So give us a voice, give us a platform,
Sure.
and just let them do it through me because I got the voice. If you want to do that, let's do that. So they gathered everything. They came to my house. They filmed for 9 hours at my house during COVID. They came to my house and all this stuff,
Right.
and it was supposed to come out the day after my birthday, so June 19th of this year.
Okay.
And I got a text message from a secondary producer on June 15th saying that they want to scrap my like a good majority of the 9 hours of my story and they want to go in a different direction. They thanked me for my time, but that was it. And unfortunately, because I signed a waiver
Hmm.
um, with them filming and coming to my home,
Right.
that they now own the footage, they own everything else, so they could do whatever they want with it. And it came out on the 19th, but it had nothing to do with what I was approached. It was completely out of left field. It was more of a 5 minute short story other than the hour that they pitched to me.
Okay.
Otherwise I wouldn't have did it. So people have always told me all my life that they want a movie on me. They want a documentary. They want a book. We're working on the book. The book is probably a couple years away yet.
Hmm.
I got some writers and stuff lined up for that, but it's I was disappointed to say the least.
Yeah.
And that's where Jen came in, and I got another friend, a real good friend of mine, who's an independent filmmaker as well, and we're going to put our heads together and hopefully by next year
Hmm.
have the vision that we all envisioned to be independently brought out, and maybe somebody brought up that hey, maybe you take it to the independent Edmonton movie festival or whatever, and
Hmm.
maybe it wins awards there, maybe it doesn't, whatever, and just get it out to the world. So that's what we're working on. That's what we're doing.
Beautiful. Yeah, just kind of picking up the pieces. Hey, that's. Did they give you a good reason as to why they reworked the story?
No, working in media, they never give you a good reason. They're just when
Sure.
something when another idea, a better idea at the time comes into their head,
Right.
and they want to go in a different direction, then of course I should have been consulted on. I should have had some
Hmm.
creative control, as it was my story,
Yeah.
but no say and no creative control on it at all. So.
So you're looking to maybe, what's the story you're looking to tell now that you're in control of this documentary? It's obviously not your life story. It's kind of you as a centering piece around the
Yeah,
community.
me as an entity, I think a little bit. I do want to sprinkle a little bit of my story in there because I think at points it gives people hope.
Right.
Never giving up, kind of that attitude, that mentality that I live with.
Hmm.
But I just I want to. I think at the end of the day, I want to give people hope. I want to raise awareness. The biggest thing I want to raise awareness. I want this movie to come out and be like, wow, I had no idea this, or I had no
Right.
idea that, or I had no idea this needs to change, or this needs to happen. So just really be that voice for a community that really has been suppressed and silenced,
Hmm.
and it's time to break the mold and break the chain.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, for one, this is the most conversation I've ever had with anybody with a disability such as yourself. So, I mean, there's that. But is it because you mentioned that you're the largest minority in the world, those with
Yeah.
disabilities generally, I guess. Um, is there a problem there where they, like with indigenous activists or any activists based on race, they're happy to raise their voice. They can go out and it's in
Yeah.
some ways it's kind of sexy to be an activist. I'll say that, but is that lacking in the disabled community? Is a figure like yourself maybe?
For sure, 100%. And the term we get brought up, you mentioned sexy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not sexy to have a disability, in the
Right.
lack of better terms, right? There's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot that goes on,
Mm-hmm.
and nobody. Again, there's a lot of our community that feels scared.
Sure.
They feel silenced. They feel suppressed. So I look at it, I said, you know what? Fuck it. Excuse my language,
No, please.
but fuck it.
Fuck it.
I'm gonna be that guy. I got a voice. Hey, God took away my legs, give me a voice, right? And we might as well use it. We might
Right.
as well use it for good,
Mm-hmm.
and use it for change. So that's why I'm here, man. I'm just here to create some waves, create some change,
Nice.
and hopefully, yeah, my vision with all this right now is I'm hoping that my media circuit and stuff like this,
Mm-hmm.
all the stuff. I'm hoping that someone sees this, someone with the same disability, worse, better, whatever the case may be, because we're all different.
Right.
And I want somebody to look and be like, I want to rally behind that guy. I know exactly how he's feeling. I know exactly what he's going through. Enough is enough. I'm tired of being silenced.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tired of being quiet. I'm tired of being told how much I'm worth, how much I need to make. I'm tired of being told what to do, all this
Right.
stuff. I want to stand with you. And next thing you know, you not just have me, you got an army. You got people behind me. And we show up at City Hall and we make waves. We make an impact. We show up on marches. We show up on city events. And eventually you bring enough awareness, change is bound to happen.
You believe that? You believe that if you just make enough noise, you'll get things your way?
Hey, if it's not enough, they're gonna have to kill me to shut me up. because
Sure.
because that's the point I'm at right now. If
Mm-hmm.
like I mentioned it earlier, if maybe change, I'm not expecting change today. I'm not expecting change tomorrow. I'm not expecting change in the next year to even 5 years.
Right.
But if we can slowly get there and slowly implement some of this stuff and realize that, yeah, you know what, we are lacking, changes need to be made. Maybe I'm, like I said before, maybe I'm gone when
Right.
changes, but somebody was with me the time and sees this and go, Brad Bartko's a legend. Brad Bartko's a hero, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't view myself that way, but some people have come up to me and be like, we need you. Thank you for doing what you do. You're a hero, all this stuff. I don't see it, but people label me. So if people want to say that and do that, carry on my legacy. Carry on my voice. You don't have a voice. Let me lend mine to you.
Hmm.
and be that voice. And again, banding together. It's
Yes.
not about me. It's about we. And if we can get guys like you, even you don't have a disability, nothing to do with us, even guys like you to be like, you know what? Yeah, he's right. Changes need to be made. Then all of a sudden we got you and your community and your family and your friends standing behind this mission. Now all of a sudden there's some movement.
Right on, right on. Yeah.
Right now all of a sudden you get a guy like who knows? Now you do enough news stories, you do enough articles, you do enough any of this. Now all of a sudden Connor McDavid maybe catches wind. Now you got Connor McDavid in your corner, and now then you start to because everybody looks up to McDavid. He's like a Gretzky in this town. So now then you start to make significant change, and we then the sky's the limit.
Sky's the limit. But again, I'm so intrigued by this idea of your community, this that you want to build.
Yeah.
Because it's in some sense it's like you're working within the framework. Like you're working within the framework of society that says you're disabled and that you got to rattle cages and make noise to get even just to be seen as an equal.
Sure.
Do you have maybe a I don't know, a bigger picture or a high up altitude view of like what it might look? Obviously, make noise, protest, raise awareness, but what does it look like to just say fuck all that, fuck the existing structures? I'm actually going to set out and I'm going to build my own society in some ways. Like, like if you're the largest minority, maybe, you know what I'm saying here? Maybe there's room to really rethink what society could be.
100%. I've thought about it a lot, and for me, that community that I want to build is just the beginning, right? I mean, a community then leads to two communities, then leads to three communities. You got to start with one before you can branch out, right? And then eventually, it's not just an Edmonton thing,
right?
Maybe then all of a sudden this community happens, it gains some traction, and people in Calgary will be like, "Hey, we need something like that here." So then we go and fund it. We do that there, and then we, Vancouver, and then for me, I want it to be a worldwide thing.
Yeah,
I want these communities. Maybe it's one community in every city.
Right.
Maybe we start quote unquote small. It's one community in every city, but I want this thing global. I want this thing worldwide. And then I think, because then what it does is all of a sudden you step outside your own house that was built for you, tailored to you. Somebody who's maybe felt they didn't have a voice for years. They step outside their house that's fully accessible.
Right.
And they can breathe fresh air, and they're like, you know what? This is what freedom tastes like. This is life. This is what I envision my life to look like and be like from the very beginning. And it's a way for me to get back to my people and say, hey, look, I see you, I know you, I know what you're going through. Give me some time to get to where I need to get to build this thing, and we're going to do it. And it's enough people. Even when I'm talking about my business, when I'm talking to people about my business, I share that story in client meetings, and clients are like, "Oh my God, I want to be there when you build it. Like, I want to be a part of it. This is something I want to be a part of." So people, I'm finding now, especially in recent conversations, I'm finding not one that I tell a different story. As a financial broker, I'm not selling. It's educating. It's bringing awareness. Yes, I guess it's a form of selling because you got to sell, I guess.
Sure.
But you're educating. So clients appreciate that. Clients are like, oh, I've never heard it that way, or I never saw it that way. This makes sense. Let's do this. But then at the end, when you tell them that story, they're like, I'm your client now, but I can't wait to be part of something big. Like, this is not just about my business. This is about building a life for other people and helping them. I reach my goals and dreams, but they reach their goals and dreams. Now you're helping thousands, if not millions of other people. And that's what gets me going, man. Like that's, it's not easy. Look, it's not easy being a financial guy. Everybody wants to shit on you because, oh, you're the money guy. You're ripping people off. All this. People got their vision already of money people.
Exactly.
We're not all the same. People with disabilities are not all the same. Everyone's different. My life is different than your life, different than your neighbor's life, different than whatever. It doesn't need to be a cookie cutter plan.
Mm-hmm.
Your life and your plan need to match up. When you get bigger goals, when you get bigger dreams, your plan needs to match up with that. So that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to make an impact, but I'm also here to make a generational impact. I'm here to change my family's tree.
Mm.
It's selfishly as well. Yes, I want to do all that. Like that's the number one.
Mm-hmm.
But selfishly, I want to change. There is nobody in my family that's made millions of dollars. So excuse me for being selfish and wanting to do that, wanting to give my kids, my grandkids, my great grandkids every opportunity that maybe the previous generation didn't have. And in order to do that, Pat, it comes down to me. I got to make that change, and then we got to make that change
Right.
to make it happen. It's not an overnight thing. It's going to take work. It's going to take a lot of work.
Sure.
But for me being at 28, I feel I got a lot of runway to do what I need to do, and I got some big goals, and I just want people to. I want people to stand with me. I don't want people to be against me. That hey, I've been told all my life I can't do this and I can't do that, and you'll never walk and you'll never talk and you'll never amount to being society. Well, look at me now.
Look at you now.
But not look at me now. Look at where I'm going.
Right.
I want people to share the vision. That it's not just my vision, Pat. I want you to look. Maybe when we're done here, maybe in a year from now, whatever. I want to go for beers with you. I want to be able to.
Sure.
You're my friend now. We're gonna be friends, right? Like me and Pat are friends now. But I want to be able. I want you to be able to look at the bigger picture. If you're a friend of mine and we're sitting down and we're talking, and be like, where can I fit in this? Where can I help? I want to be a part of this. This is a movement. This is something I can get behind. We're not harming people. We're not changing the world for the worst.
Right.
We're changing the world for the better. Where can I fit in on this? And so that's where it comes down to. I don't want to make normal people my enemy. I want to make normal people my ally. And I want them to come on the journey too. It's not just people with disabilities. I want you to jump on the train as well. I want you to support me. I want you to be in my corner. And let's go do this thing together, man, because I want to be able to impact and change your life along the way as well and give back to you. And when I get to the peak of the mountain or wherever that is, because there's always different peaks, I'm never going to stop. But you look at the people that has always supported you. You might need something down the road, Pat, and I'll be like, you know what, Pat, don't worry about it, man. I got you. I got you. Right? Or, my mom, if my parents ever get sick or whatever happens, or something happens with their house or something happens with the car, money's not everything, but to be able to have it when someone needs it is a completely different ballgame.
Absolutely. That's like a no fear mentality. Like
I'm not scared, man.
Yeah, because it's like it's like you've already like you said, you've confronted the worst already and you beat it in some sense, like.
Yeah, I'll give you a quick, like, people, even when I got involved in finance, people are like, what are you doing? You're crazy. You're nuts.
Right.
You're not going to survive in that industry. It's all word of mouth. So who's going to sit down with you? People are crazy, all this stuff. Pat, my vision and my goals were too big for me to fail.
Mm-hmm.
Let me let you in on a secret. I wrote my financial exam 29 times. It wasn't easy.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, it's worth it. Because my goals, my dreams, my family's goals, my family's dreams, my community's goals, my community's dreams were too big for me to fail. For too big for me to just get up and say, you know what? I quit. Let's take the easy road. Let's go work at McDonald's. Let's go work at a retail store. Just make that money just a little bit. I'll be okay. No. There's a community and there's a world, there's a family counting on me that I need to go and I need to do something bigger.
Do you have any idea why? Like maybe you touched it, but why? Because do you know any other disabled people who strive in the same way as you?
There's a couple. There's only a handful, but I don't think there's anybody with a vision as big as me.
Right.
And that's not being. I'm being honest. I'm being real. I've never met anybody so big as me. And you asked why. I really don't. You know what? Maybe it's because I was given 24 hours.
Sure.
Maybe because it's the life I had growing up. Maybe it's because my parents sacrificed. My mom was 16,
Yeah.
gave up her entire life to raise a person with a disability. My dad, at 1.5 years old, walked out of my life. I had a stepdad come in and raise me. That is my father. That is my dad. I owe everything to those two. My wife, my wife has sacrificed so much. I owe everything to my wife.
Hmm.
My extended family, all this, everybody who's ever believed in me. I owe everything to them. Everything who's ever hated on me and told me I wouldn't ever become anything. I owe it to them because they drive me, they push me, and they push me to a whole new level. That's why I think I am what I am. But I also think I looked around, Pat, and I think it comes down to just living the life that I think that I and we deserve.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
many people, I don't know if you noticed this, Pat, but so many people like to just settle. They just like to be just
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
I don't want to be another stat that woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Sure.
I want to go do it. You look like our good friend Eminem once said, one shot, one opportunity, right, Pat?
As far as we know.
You got
YOLO.
one shot. You got one shot. You got one opportunity. You might as well. Hey, you got to
Mm-hmm.
dream, and do it. Now, I'll let you know a story. I have never once. I couldn't have ever dreamed of the life I have now. I think for me, I manifest it. I think it's for what I talk about myself. I'm positive. I never talk very bad about anybody.
Sure.
Just I think it's come to me. But again, there's a whole new level. I want more. And I'll tell you, I never envisioned myself. I got the opportunity of a lifetime a couple years ago. Are
Okay.
you a sports fan?
Sports? Oh yeah. Yeah, hockey mostly, but yeah.
Hockey, okay. So I got the opportunity a couple years ago to I got connected and got to hang out and become real good friends with over the last couple of years with the Robitaille family.
Okay.
Luke Robitaille of the LA
Sure.
Kings and his beautiful wife Stacia. We do some charity work together and we've done some stuff. But you know, I never would have dreamed of being on that level. And then I see their dreams and I see their goals and I see how hard they worked to get to where he got. He got drafted in a round that doesn't even exist anymore.
Really?
It's yes, it's crazy. It's nuts. And I'm looking at all these sacrifices and all they did and all these other people around me. Like I mentioned, my parents and everything else. And I just life is so much more than just coasting through life. And I
Yes.
noticed that no offense, but I noticed that with a lot of people with disabilities, they just coast and they just kind of give up and hey, this is what it is. I'm dealt with the hand I'm dealt. I'm just gonna, live my life and
Yep.
but for me, Pat, it comes down to what do I want to be remembered as? What is my
Okay.
legacy?
Legacy.
What is my legacy? What's when we get off this podcast, you just met me.
Mm-hmm.
When we get off this podcast, I want to leave you with something so big
Mm-hmm.
that when we get off this today and you go carry about your day, you're like, oh my God, Brad just touched me in such a way that I want to go and do this now. I want to go and, I want to be friends with that guy because he's so positive and all this stuff, right? But what is my legacy? And for me, it's I got that never give up, no afraid, no fear kind of attitude
Yeah.
that I want that to be part of me. But I also want my legacy, again, not about me.
Mm-hmm.
I want my legacy to be about my people, about my community, about my family.
Mm-hmm.
My family gave me everything that I got. I want to give them everything I got. I want to ring it all out, and leave nothing at the table when I'm on my deathbed. Nothing on the table. I want to be. You know what? There's a good mentor of mine. His name is Ed Milet, who runs one of the biggest podcasts in the world. He got started in my business. That's where he gained his wealth, and now he's on to bigger and better things. But he talks about when you die, because we all die at some point.
Yep.
There's only a couple certain things in life that are certain. That's death and taxes, right?
That's right.
So he talks about when you get to the pearly gates
Okay.
and you get an opportunity to meet your other self. and you could talk to yourself, maybe your better self or whatever.
Sure.
What is he going to say about you? That man, you gave it everything you got. You were the greatest father. You were the greatest son. You were the greatest person that you could ever possibly be. Or are you going to look in the mirror and say, man, you left so much on the table. You left so much in the gas tank that you carry regrets with you till the end of days. I've seen family members on their deathbeds carry regrets. I don't want to be that guy. I want to bring everything I got. I don't want to hold any grudges. I don't want to have any regrets. I don't want to miss any experience. I want to do it all. And for me, that's a fulfilled life. And it's again, I can have millions and millions of dollars and be the most depressed guy in the world.
For sure you
But
could.
but it's you could be the richest guy in the graveyard and still be forgotten. But it's all about it's all about the impact and what you do for others. And this community for me,
Mhm.
Pat, is just the start of what I want to do for others. There's again, we talk about selfishly. There, my dad and my uncle. He's like a almost a second father to me. He's big in classic cars, and
Okay.
he's always wanted to own a garage full of classic cars. Well, I want to get to a point in life, both financially and whatever,
Hmm.
that I can just go to this auction. He's a big Barrett Jackson auction fan in Scottsdale, Arizona. So I want to go to Scottsdale one year.
Hmm.
Money's not an object at this point. I
Right.
want to be able to whatever car he wants to bid on, however much it is. I want to be able to write the check and say, here you go. Thank you for all you did for me.
Mm.
This is the very least I could do for you. And I mean, there's other things as well on top of that. I mean, they're not all materialistic,
Sure.
but just so much. I want to be able to retire my parents. My parents have given everything, and my dad owned a business for a long time, and it was very physical labor, so his back's starting to go, all this stuff. I want to be able to say, you know what, Dad, don't worry about it. I got it. Right? I want to be able to, when I have kids, that if they don't want to, when it comes time for college, they want to go to a pristine college, I don't need to take loans out. It's like, hey, you know what? You were a good kid. Yeah, I'm going to help you with school. I'm not going to pay for it all because I want you to still learn the value of work,
Hmm.
but I'm going to help you, right? Because I've done well. And it comes down to, again, helping others pick them up. When you're up here, it's not about pushing people down.
Right.
You got to bring them with you. You got to bring them to that peak of the mountain with you and give them a taste of that life that you have or that we have. And it's all about just hanging out with the right people, hanging out with the right crowd. There's two things I'm allergic to in life, Pat, and I tell waitresses all the time. It's bullshit. It's bullshit and negativity. Two things I'm allergic to. I puff right up. The lungs close up.
For sure.
It's crazy, man. I have a full on attack. It's nuts. So I hang out with positive people. My bubble is very small.
Mm.
My bubble is very secure, and I just love life, man. And I just want the best for me, my family, but most importantly, my community and my city.
That's that's rock and roll right there. I love it all. I think I use this podcast to work on ideas, and you're kind of the living embodiment of an idea I've been working on where, time is limited. I mean, time is eternal, and we're given this little tiny, what I think like a popcorn kernel. You just popped up in that river and you'll disappear someday. So will I, so will all of us. But if you want to get results and you want to do, make an impact, make a change, it seems like to me, if you're pursuing helping other people as well, you're multiplying the results and the good that you can do. You're multiplying it exponentially by all the people you can help,
For sure.
and you're pushing yourself to a sort of position of being eternal yourself with this legacy, where now generations and generations are affected by what you did with that time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I hope you're not getting allergic to the bullshit, but that's an idea I've been working on.
No, not yours. You're good.
Appreciate it, brother. Um, what I mean, I'm curious about the financial brokerage that you do, or
Yeah, so I'm a financial broker by name,
Sure.
but I call myself a financial educator
Okay.
because, again, I just love to educate people and bring awareness.
So do you specifically target or have you been able to work with people who are disabled and maybe weren't getting a fair shake with their money?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's there's a product called a registered disability plan,
Okay.
and the banks don't talk about it because I'm going to be frank and be honest. The banks don't get paid enough to talk about it or deal with it,
Right.
right? And I just teach people how to take it because there's free government grants. So the government, it's a matching program. The government will pour money in and just to help you. It's a retirement plan, so it's meant for long term.
Gotcha.
It's not meant to take it out now. It's meant to last till you're retirement age.
Hmm.
So it built up substantially, and teaching people how to get better rates of return on that, doing the same things, just changing some funds around and shopping around. And look, when you go to, I use the example all the time. When you're looking to buy a house
Hmm.
and you bank with TD, no shot to TD because I work with TD. They're some of our product providers. But when you go to TD and they give you one rate,
Hmm.
they're not going to tell you RBC across the street has a better rate
Sure.
because they're going to lose you as a client, right? So that's where I come in. I have access to just shy of 100 different companies that I can go to and help my clients with
Hmm.
mortgages, insurance, investments, saving long term, short term. I deal with business insurance. Somebody's got a business, home, auto insurance, all that stuff. And really what it comes down to is giving the client options and giving the client a voice. Because I'm going to come back to you, Pat, and
Right.
show you options. I'm not just going to tell you this is good for you. Let's go do it.
Hmm.
No, I'm going to give you A, B, and C, and I want you to make the best choice for your family.
Hmm.
I'm just the guy helping you out. I want you to make the best choice, and I want and at the end of the day, I want you to be like, you know what? I like that guy because he was genuine, he was honest,
Hmm.
he was real, and he did the best thing and helped me get the best thing for my clients. And not everything is good. I mean, there's some products where people will phone me for a second opinion, and it's the same rate. It's the same rate. It's the same price. But they're like, you know what? I'm going to move it anyway
Hmm.
because I just like what you stand for. I don't want it to sit at a bank. I like what you stand for. And that's the same thing. My client or my parents. It took my parents, a handful of years to actually believe in me and come see me because
Hmm.
they weren't sure at first. They go, oh, I don't know. But when they sat down and really seeing that I was genuine, I'm not here just to make a buck.
Right.
I'm here. This is my career. I'm here for a long time. I'm here to watch it grow. If something needs to change, we'll change it. And now I'll tell you, man, my parents are my biggest fans. They send me all their friends. They talk about me. It is fantastic, and it's just cool to know that I can impact my parents. My parents that taught me everything that I can turn around and teach them something and give them value and give them education. And for me, that's the most important thing over selling any single day of the week. If somebody leaves, even if they don't do business with me,
Hmm.
if someone leaves and they have a better understanding of how this works, how this grows, where to put it here, not put it here, then I mean my job is done. So yes, I very much targeted the disability community. I have a
Hmm.
not most of my clients, but a good chunk of my clients they do have disabilities in some form. But I'll help everybody, and I want because at the end of the day, I want everyone to win. And if you're not winning right now in your current situation, then hey, a second opinion is free. It's always free. So let's change that and let's get you in a better spot.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I find it fascinating when guys like you or anybody does whatever it is that you do for work, so to speak, or whatever you do with your time. It's all
Yeah.
unified in some sense. Like your project of community building and uplifting everyone is like financial education is just a part of that. It's right. Like
Yeah.
it's everything that you do, everything you give is a byproduct of wanting to uplift those around you. But I wonder, is that
Yeah.
because partially because people around you had to make sacrifices, and I mean you were a burden on somebody somewhere, I'm sure, but people's
You you asked my wife. I still am.
ah, oh no.
No,
No,
I'm
no.
kidding. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Hey,
I'm kidding.
I'm a burden on a couple people in this house, I think. So
Yeah,
yeah,
no, it's yeah. You know what? I never. I don't think I've ever thought of myself as a burden on people. It's just the way I am, I guess.
right.
But I'm sure I was along the way, and it comes back to the sacrifices. I
Hmm.
watched what my mom endured at 16 to give up everything for drop out of school and everything for me, and a man that wasn't even my dad at 21 years old come in and give up everything, and now he's been at my bedside for every surgery, my bedside for when I got licensed in the financial industry, he was the first one to phone me, congratulate me, and when I've spoken on stage because I'm a motivational speaker by I got a certificate as well there. When I'm speaking on stage, every good thing that I do, they're one of the first ones there, and I there's so many people. I feel that I'd be selfish to just go through this life just for me.
Right.
I need to. Other people carried me through life. I feel that now is my turn to do the heavy lifting and take some weight off other people and just make a bigger impact.
Well, I gotta say, Brad, I was kind of, well, whatever, intrigued, I guess, by the fact that you are married and you know, just like anybody else could be married. And I mean, first of all, how did you meet your wife, and how long have you guys been together?
I met my wife online. She's from Ontario,
Okay.
so she moved out here for work. She was already here when we met, but we met online, and I was in college in radio and TV program when we met, and
Hmm.
she wasn't in school; she was working at the time. So we hooked up and I had dinner and met, and it was great. But we've been together now 8 years, and it'll be 5 years married September 24th
Okay.
this year. So
Beautiful.
next month. So it's been incredible, man, and she's the rock that keeps me stable when things get crazy, and the queen of the household. Really, it's she when my heads get too far in the clouds,
Sure.
she doesn't like to bring me down because dreaming is always good,
Hmm.
but she'll just level me out a little bit, and we're focused on this right now. Let's focus on this later type thing, and just fantastic. And now to be able to be able to run a business together and really have her in my corner with the disability
Hmm.
advocacy stuff. I'm super proud of her and what we've endured together, but also individually. She's going back to school to enhance her studies. She's a construction worker by trade,
Okay.
so she's going to go back and enhance that too. And we just bought a house 2 years ago. I'm right downtown on Jasper Ave here in
Nice.
Edmonton, and it's been incredible, man. I couldn't be more blessed with an incredible person in my corner.
Wonderful. Now, forgive me if this is a bit much, but what's that conversation like when you meet online and you have to explain the way your situation with the wheelchair and all? How did that play out?
Yeah, so I right away I was very upfront. I
Hmm.
explained it, and no issues at all.
Wow.
She very much sees me for me and who I am.
Of course.
There is no, she's not my nurse. She's not my caregiver. She's not my mother. She's most importantly my partner and my wife. And that's the dynamic that we have, and it works for us. I mean, she was
Sure.
very open minded, and I'm blessed to have that. I was blessed that somebody could see me for me and not just the four wheels strapped to my ass or the all the other extra stuff that I have,
Right.
and it's been awesome.
Yeah, that's something like true love, hey, to see through all that and see you and see you for who you are, as you say, but also your drive and your ego. Again, I don't mean that in a negative way, but your vision, you're a builder, you know, and that's got to be appealing to a woman. Period.
I like to think so, but you got to think this mentality didn't come overnight. I had some growing to do.
Hmm.
I had some maturing to do, but I thank my business for allowing me to it opened my eyes to a world that needed our help, a world that needed my help, and it kind of just expanded from there. And I took it one step further. I said, what if I can help my community?
Sure.
What if I can help my people? And it exploded. And the vision keeps growing. It keeps growing as you check some stuff off the list, as you add stuff to your list. And I couldn't be more excited create the life that we're going to create. And again, not just for me, but for the people after me and the people with me.
Right on. Hey, Brad, if people want to find out more about you, what's the best way to kind of get in touch with you or learn more about you?
Yeah, so the best way for me is my Instagram, broadcasting Brad.
Right.
So it's broadcasting without the G, so IN Brad.
Mm-hmm.
Facebook Brad Bartko.
Okay.
And those are the two best ways to get a hold of me. I just opened a brand new LinkedIn account as well. I had one through college. I had to kind of restart it.
Sure.
Just, things change. So I just did that as well. And you can check out my website as well. It's not updated. It hasn't been updated since the last event we did.
Mm-hmm.
But wheelingforhope.com.
Okay.
And that is my not official, but it will be official soon. My foundation. And we giving again. That comes back to giving back to people, and making a change. So that's how you can get a hold of me.
Right on. How are the Oilers going to do this year?
Man, I hope. Hey, I think they're going to score. They're going to score a lot of goals. I'll tell you. They're going to score a lot of goals. If Connor can put up 100 points in 56, I think he can do 150 in 82. That's my prediction, 150 or more. Zach Hyman on that wing is going to be fantastic. I'm not as hard on the defense as a lot of people in the city are.
Sure.
I think Duncan Keith's going to bring some veteran presence that they need. He's going to help maybe a guy like Evan Bouchard come in and transition, into a full-time NHL player. Cody Ceci is going to come in, do his job. Mm-hmm. He's not there to play 30 minutes a game. He's there to do his job and kind of be that stopgap for the young guys coming up. So I think he'll do fine. And you know what? I think they'll be okay. I think if they you know what? You don't need a stellar goaltender or a stellar defense when you got 97 and 29 on your team. And I think it's going to be a year where the Oilers got a really good shot in a weak division.
True.
They got a really good shot to win the division. A really good shot to, I believe, they'll make the playoffs. I just don't get the hate on Ken Holland, man. Let him do his job. He's better than you and I combined. He's a GM. He's a GM in the league for a reason. There's a reason they're armchair GMs. We're not a GM in the league. We made the playoffs every year he's been here, and I think that'll continue. I think they'll be fantastic. I think they'll be fine. I'm a season ticket holder, so I'm looking forward to just getting back in the rink.
Nice.
We missed last year due to COVID and stuff, and I just wish everybody was healthy and happy and live the best they can be. And for me, it's a privilege to go watch these guys play every day, and I'm excited to get back there and watch Connor McDavid do his thing.
Well said, man. We are blessed to be able to watch the best player alive in the best rink in the world every night. It's incredible. There's been some bad nights, but don't discount what we're witnessing before our very eyes right now with Connor.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, thanks for entertaining me on that one. Brad, this was a great conversation, man. You definitely opened my eyes, and it's that's all I could ever ask for. And you're an inspiration for real.
Pat, I appreciate that. I appreciate the time. It is. I feel so honored. I feel so privileged to be able to do this, and I hope somebody can take away something that I said and implement it or apply it. And if there's anything you need moving forward, man, I'm always in your corner. I'm here. You got a friend in me now. Let's go change the world, man.
Hey, right back at you, man. Let's go change the world. I love it. Have a great rest of your day, Brad. I really appreciate it, man. Take care.
All right, man. Thanks so much.
Thank you for listening to the North Bank Media Podcast. If you enjoy this conversation, please subscribe on YouTube and give us a like. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please subscribe as well and leave a 5-star review.